All right, welcome to the Setbreaker podcast. And today we have a guest. All right, his name is Paul J. Krueger. Hello, Paul.
What's up, everybody? So excited to be here on the podcast. Mike, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to your house during this Corona lockdown.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually really glad to see you because yesterday I had a friend surprise visit me, and he's the first person I saw in person since the lockdown got really crazy, and I felt so healed and rejuvenated because I haven't hugged anybody.
Yeah.
Right? I live with my mom and my sister, but we don't hug each other. So I have to get that physical affection from my friends.
When you go home today, you should give your mom and sister a hug.
Yeah. Well, I do hug my mom like once in a while, but she's straight from Korea and she gets kind of weird with it. She's like, oh, like that. Okay.
She like taps you on like.
Yeah, it's just like, because obviously she loves me, but like culturally it's very different. You know, it's more of a non-Asian thing, I guess. But
yeah.
And then 2 days in a row, I get to see friends. I see you, and you're not afraid of it either.
No fear.
Yeah.
No fear of Corona. It was like I was saying earlier, like I think I'm immune to it now because I think I had Corona already. Yeah. So I went to China to film a movie, and I got back from China in February, and like I thought it was jet lag the first few days. I had a splitting headache and like possibly a fever, and I actually went to the CVS Minute Clinic because I thought it was like an ear infection. And then 3 days later, like I was totally fine, and I genuinely think that it was coronavirus. And like a couple other guys that I went to China with said the same thing. They're like, yeah, like I had a splitting headache, like it was really bad, and then a few days later, I was fine. And we're like, yeah, I think we already had Corona. Like we're good.
It's possible, right? Because not everybody's gonna get affected and die. Because what is it, like 0.1% pass away?
I don't even know what the statistic
if that,
is.
who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know what the statistic is, but yeah, I mean, I've honestly still been just doing like business as usual. Like I've actually been like meeting up with people like pretty much every day. Like just been doing stuff because I'm just like, yeah, like I'm at home all day, but I still feel like I mean, just like you're saying, like a lot of like happiness and joy comes from like human connection. So we're healthy, you know?
Yeah, we're young, dude. We're strong.
We're strong-minded. You know, we have great immune systems. We eat healthy.
Yes. So since meeting my buddy yesterday and then seeing you, now I'm even more open. Just like, fuck it, dude. I'm just gonna hit up my other friends. Like, hey, I'll drive to you. Let's just fucking hang out. Like, are you scared of it? I'm not. Like, what the fuck else are we gonna do? Just be more sad? And like, how long are we gonna allow this thing to happen? And you know, it's not like we're going to the club or bars and shit where there's like 100 people in one spot, right? It's a few people at a time, right? It's not any different than when we're hanging out with our family or living with your family or roommates who go to grocery stores.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it should just be like I haven't watched the news in a month. Like I just started to just go back to whatever, like doing the things that I want to do. Yeah. And it could trigger people where people could be like, he's going to get everybody sick and they're going to die. And I'm like, well, I'm only like going to like one person's house, meeting up with that one person, hanging out. Like it's not like, again, like I'm not going to the bar, I'm not going to these clubs. Like, and if I go out to like Trader Joe's, love Trader Joe's. Like I'll wear a face mask. I love Trader Joe's, dude. Like and I went to Whole Foods recently too to kind of be like, well, do I not know enough? Do I love Trader Joe's because I think it's the only option? So I went to Whole Foods and I bought like a few things and it was like $60, and I'm like, dude, this stuff would have cost $20 at Trader Joe's, and it's all organic and it's all easy. Like Trader Joe's is my spot. That's some great quality food. You check my fridge, it's just everything's Trader Joe's.
Snacks,
I get everything,
the meals,
all of it, and it's all healthy food. Like it's really good. Like I love Trader Joe's.
Yeah, dude, man, they need to really sponsor you.
They do. I actually applied to work at Trader Joe's. When the whole Corona thing hit, I applied to work at Trader Joe's, and they denied me. They said I can't work at Trader Joe's.
Oh, damn. How did it feel when it got denied?
I just laughed about it. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, yeah. It was good because realistically, it would have been like a huge part of my schedule would have been having to go to work at Trader Joe's, and that kind of would have sucked. Like, I don't really want to do it, but I was like, oh, I need the income. Like, I'll get, I should have the income from Trader, whatever. Yeah. I'm so glad they didn't hire me because I thought I was like just so hot. I'm like, dude, I'll bag groceries. I'll be a fucking all-star at Trader Joe's. And then they're like, yeah, sorry, buddy, we're not hiring you. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, you do know that I used to be an accountant, right? I can do it. They're like, fuck you. We don't care. We don't care about
exactly.
that shit.
Like, I love it. They're like, dude, we got 1,000 people applying every day. Like, and I was like, you know what? They were actually pretty polite about it. So I was like,
Which is good. So that keeps you on good terms with Trader Joe's.
yeah,
They did a good job.
Still love Trader Joe's, you know?
Yeah, I think you would have had a really good time pre-corona because the energy would have been just normal, right? But during lockdown, it's weird with the 6 feet thing. Everybody's got the masks. It's like they're not as friendly because they're afraid, right? So I think that would have especially you being there for hours per day, might have negatively impacted you.
Yeah,
potentially.
I mean, I feel like especially because like this quarantine is such a good time to do like more creative stuff. Like you've been just crushing it on TikTok and like your content's been just so funny and like really good. And I feel like it's because it's like we've got more free time to do creative stuff. So if I were to go and get a job right now, like it would actually probably take a lot of energy away from doing like creative work, which is ultimately what we want to be doing full time anyway. Like now is almost that moment where they just kind of push us into the pool. Even though the water's cold, we just dive into the pool and just start doing creative stuff like full time, you know?
Yeah. I mean, what else are we going to do with this time? Are we just going to continue to be scared and stay inside? Because staying inside all day, being afraid, not only makes us weaker because we're not getting sunlight, vitamin D, the stress is lowering our immune systems. It's making us fearful of everything. So we're always going to be kind of like on edge. And that stress makes people sick. It makes people fucking sick.
It's true. And it's like, I feel like it's almost like I'm like I believe enough in myself as like a healthy person to like self-diagnose and be like, okay, should I stay inside or will I actually feel better and be healthier if I'm going out? Actually, like both of us went for a run today, which is fantastic. Like had a healthy breakfast, like, and then we're meeting up and I'm like happy. I'm like, please, yeah, come over. Like, great. Like you're welcome. Like, it's fantastic. And I like, for in no way would I like the worst thing is like I'm actually more concerned about like somebody taking their shoes off coming in the room than getting sick from corona. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, that's like a bigger priority. I'm like, I don't want to track mud in the house, so I'll take my shoes off. I don't care about wearing masks and stuff personally. Yeah. This is where people can get totally triggered though.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? But I don't care. Like I'm like, I think everybody should be like thinking independently about the situation instead of just absorbing whatever they see on the news.
Yeah, because I mean, I've seen doctors talk about that the masks are fucking you up, right? Because the reason why surgeons wear the masks is so that they don't spit or get shit into the wound and infect them, right? It's not going to protect them from anything. And people think they're getting protected by wearing a fucking mask. No, it's so you don't spit and share, like, you know, like if they were sick so that they don't get other people sick, right? That's the point of it. But also, it impedes your breathing. And I don't know if this is true. I didn't do my research, but I'm just going to say it. But apparently somebody got into a car accident because they passed out from not being able to breathe correctly because of the mask because they were older. And I think they might have died. Again, don't quote me on that. I could be very, very wrong.
Yeah, I know.
I could be very wrong, but I walked for a little bit with the mask and I said, fuck this. And I took it off. I'm just going to run. I don't give a damn. And the only reason why I put on the mask, because it wasn't so much that I was trying to stay safe or, you know, not get people sick if I was sick or whatever the fuck it is. It was more so because I didn't want people to look at me. That's why.
Yes, exactly.
That's it.
So true.
Yeah.
But now a lot of these places don't even allow people in unless they wear masks. So for me, like I'll wear a mask just to kind of like be low key, just so it doesn't, just so people don't like freak out. You know what I mean? It's almost a way like, hey, I'll put on the mask. Which, by the way, where did you buy your mask from?
My cousin gave us masks, so I don't know where he got it from. He got it from his work.
I bought it off somebody just selling it on the corner.
Oh, you bought it from is it the Mexican? Yeah.
We were driving around and I'm like, oh, I need to get a mask. And I just saw this lady like on the side of the road. It was like masks, $5. And I was like, hey, here's $5. And like, it's a great mask. I've been wearing it all the time. I feel like I need to wash the masks. Think about that.
Maybe you should have washed it before because they probably handmade it or something.
No, it came in like that's what I was thinking. It came in like a plastic like bag where like you could rip off the Ziploc seal and then open it. Similar to cheese. Similar to when you buy cheese from the groceries.
Oh, so they probably didn't do it on their own if it was like that.
Yeah.
Level. Yeah, because I thought it was like the plastic where it folds and you can like kind of heat stamp it, you know?
Yeah, they're like the ladies are like cutting plastic bags. Like,
Yeah.
Here you go. Like,
there you go. It's like, it's saran wrap.
Yeah, right, just put saran wrap on her face.
Yeah, but yeah, I got so tired of it. I'm like, I'm fucking done. I don't care. And I really genuinely think especially because you agree with me. I think a lot of people just wear the mask because they just don't want to be like the black sheep.
Yep.
Because they're afraid of judgment, right? But that ties in even more with sheep mentality, right? Like people are afraid to live their truth and maybe go for their dreams, or maybe like somebody wants to be a fucking janitor because they love cleaning, but they're like, oh, I don't want to be janitor because I got to get pussy.
If you're a smooth janitor, if you know how to use your mop pole, is that
The
stretch?
mop pole? Is that what they call that shit?
No, I don't know. I guess like it's
wrong.
like sexual terms for janitors. Like,
Yeah, mop pole.
if you know how to really dip your mop in the bucket.
Yeah, if you know how to shoot Windex.
If you know where to spray your Windex.
Yeah, if you know where to spray the Windex. Yeah, but and here's the interesting thing too. It just made sense to me. The reason why, because I was telling Paul that I've been feeling off with my TikTok videos, all that shit, guys. And I realized I was able to having these routines of waking up, exercising, drinking a lot of water, being healthy, whatever. That helped me stay afloat. But eventually, because there's no socializing in person, it eventually hit a downward slope to where you can't really recreate that. You can FaceTime, you can do all that, but it is not the same unless you're in person. And I think that's where I was forgetting who I was, which started to affect my content, right? It became more forceful. So now 2 days of talking to you guys, seeing you guys in person, it's been making me actually excited to make the content again with gusto, which is going to allow people to feel my energy through the screen, which is what people would say before. But that was kind of, I get less comments like that because it's true. I had to force it. And then I was like, I felt fake because of that. But it wasn't me faking being somebody else. It was just me not getting what's needed, which is in-person socializing.
Yeah. You know what's cool? What we should do? So I've been watching a lot of chiropractor videos on YouTube, and I actually think like this ties into what you're just saying, where it's like you like feeling like a little bit off, and essentially what we need is essentially how chiropractors do those like alignments.
Yeah.
And it takes your spine, boom, and then everything like feels really good and it just starts to flow, and it's kind of like getting into that flow state. They actually do like chiropractor appointments where for like $30 at this one place in Glendale, you can get like a consultation, an exam, and an alignment. We should go get our backs cracked.
I'm kind of afraid that it only costs $30. Who are these people? Are they good?
No. It's like a first time. Like you get like a first.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's only like a 30-minute appointment too.
Are they legit?
Dude, I'm willing to do it. I've been watching so many chiropractor videos on YouTube. It's like, it's fascinating, dude. Dude, people have like, because it's also like for this one girl was doing it, and it was like an emotional release. Like it's almost like we hold on to stuff and it shows up by like, if we have like pain in our lower back, like a lot of times we're like holding on to things, and when the chiropractor just cracks it, and it's pretty aggressive when the chiropractor does it, even though it doesn't hurt, it's more just like a fright. And the girl started to kind of like tear up because she's like, whoa, like as if like years of this pain had finally just been released. And a lot of it could have been, tied with like emotional stuff. But when that chiropractor just hits that sweet spot and you just hear that crack and everything's aligned again, it's like, it's a release, man. And I'm just like, damn, I got to get, like, how much for me to get my alignment? Because like, I don't know. I feel like it would just be so... Anyway, I'd be like, let me know if you're down. I think
I'd be down because I agree with that because I've been pushing myself working out at home lately and lightweight, high reps. Okay, and there's a point where I was doing curls with 20-pound dumbbells and I was just doing it and I wanted to stop, not because I was tired, but because my brain was like, fuck it, like just stop. And I was like, no, keep pushing it. And it got to a point where it was hurting so bad and I was pushing past the burn to where like I started feeling tingles in my penis, and then I
wait. You're working out so hard that
I started to feel like a tingle in my penis.
Like, does that happen to you all the time when you work out?
No, only when I push super hard. And then I started to, as I pushed further, then my face started to go like I was like, and then I started feeling emotional. So I was feeling like emotion, and I was like, stop. But I said, no, keep pushing. And funny enough, so I'm getting more intense feelings in my pee-pee, and I'm feeling more emotional. And it got to the point where I exhausted myself, and then I laid on the ground, and I was like,
Really?
and like tears came out. Yeah. So we definitely trapped. Tears came out, but I didn't bust a nut. Don't worry, nothing came out of my.
That would have been like the
that would
greatest.
be insane if I busted a nut and tears were coming out. But it was just. You're right. We trap this energy that can only come out, I think, once we force it to come out. When we hit this point where we feel like, okay, we're gonna stop, right? Even with like running or yoga. Like Joe Rogan talked about how he would do yoga before, and then he would just start crying because you're right. There's shit that's trapped within that can only come out through specific means. You know?
Right. I mean, I did a marathon. I cried when I was at like for the last like 3 miles during a marathon. Like I was like crying. I feel like it was just because, I mean, it was just, sometimes it's like an emotional journey. You know what I mean? Like I think with like running, yoga, with chiropractor, like these are all natural things that are free for anybody to do. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like, well, the chiropractor thing you might have to pay $30 for, but like a lot of this stuff, I feel like people hold on to things like emotionally, and then it affects, then they carry it around with them. And for me, it's just like, I love the idea of just like letting go of everything and always being like this fresh, clean slate and doing whatever we need to do to like always keep that like fresh, like reboot. You know what I mean? Like with a computer, like when your computer's slow, when a computer's slow, you just reboot it. And then it's just, oh, it's great. It's, you know, you got the update, you got the upgrade, and now it's running smooth. So I feel like people need to do that as well. Like they need to go outside, they need to sweat, they need to be interacting with people. Like they need that refresh, that reboot, you know?
Yeah, it's very true, man.
They don't talk about that in the news though.
They don't give solutions.
Yeah, the news doesn't
never give solutions, dude.
I never watch the news. I
don't either.
Straight the news. Watching the news is literally just like taking like just acid and just dumping it on your brain of like negativity and fear and all that stuff. I do not watch the news.
I don't either.
I don't care. Like I just live my life and focus on like the things that I can control and live my best life.
Yeah. What's the point of watching all this shit and then just be like, oh, there's 200 more cases in Houston. What the fuck does that do for my life? It doesn't do jack shit. Yeah. What is the point of having all this knowledge, which could be just misinformation, right? So what if there's cases? Like the cases could have been maybe some. I don't know. What do we know? How do we know these fuckers are right? They could say anything they want, and who's gonna fact check it?
And I think the media, like, I'll dive a little into like conspiracy stuff occasionally. And like a lot of what's on the media is like the media is controlling like the minds. Even Jim Morrison, the guy from The Doors, like has this quote. He's like, he who controls the media controls the minds, meaning like the big media sources have the ability to influence people, because if you're getting it from a person on TV, you think like, oh, it must be true, even though it may not be totally 100% true. That's why I think social media is so cool, because then it gives the independent creator their own platform that they can build as large as they can, as large as they choose, and they can really build it to the sky. There's no ceiling. And then they can start giving their own message, and hopefully it's just a very, very positive message. But the news is going to go around being like, hey guys, we found out that if you go outside for 30 minutes, you'll actually feel way better. It's like, people know that. You know what I mean? People know that if they drink water, if they eat healthy, you know, that they'll feel better. It's just some people like sitting in that warm bath of their own urine.
Yeah.
But not me. I'm cleaning that off, and I'm
dehydrated urine, so it's super yellow.
Oh, yeah.
And it smells because they ate asparagus.
Oof.
Man.
That's potent.
Yeah, very potent.
Some potent stuff.
It's somewhat viscous.
But on the topic of social media, I love what social media allows for everybody. Like we really got to connect a lot over social media, and it was so cool watching your come up on, especially on TikTok. I mean, it's just been this like almost like this sensational thing, and it's just cool. It's like, man, it just shows like, hey, but you really like have been in the game for a while and been doing it, but just want to take a second to just recognize you.
Thanks,
just
man.
crushing on TikTok. Yeah.
TikTok. Yeah, and you know, that's what I noticed too. When I something about watching somebody say something through the screen versus they can say the same thing in person, but it's more impactful if you watch it through even a cell phone or a computer screen or a TV screen. Something about it makes it so much more official and so much more meaningful, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting because even with myself, when I post up a video and I just say it, people are like, oh, dude, fuck yeah, like, yeah. But I'll say this stuff all the time to people in person, And I don't think it really resonates with them as much because even the water thing, a lot of people were saying they didn't know that water gets rid of anxiety. Dehydration causes anxiety and sadness. A lot of people don't know that because nobody talks about it. They don't want people to know about these simple fixes, which cost like no money.
Water.
Yeah, it's fucking water, but they're like, oh, I need antidepressants. It's like maybe because you've been drinking soda every day for a year and drink water once a month. That's for sure why. Because if I get dehydrated for 2 hours, I feel fucked up. I don't feel good. I feel hopeless, right?
I totally agree. And like the solution, I think like the modern health solution, we're sold a lot of this stuff by like big pharmacy companies. Like we're sold like antidepressants and all these pills and all this other stuff when really like my belief system is based around like that the cures, like the best cures are everything that's natural, like sunlight, exercise, water, sleep. You know what I mean? Like hanging out with people. Like I genuinely think that those like 5 things, there might be another one that I'm missing, like yoga, but that counts as like exercise. Like those things can cure anybody. I believe that. And it's also important because like since I believe that, as I'm like walking outside or as I'm exercising or as I'm drinking water or as I'm hanging out with friends, I know that it's kind of filling up my cup and making me healthier. So for me, I'm just always looking for like where's that like good positive source and like how do I get closer to the source and how do I get further away from the negative stuff? You know what I mean? I will like just there's a long stick between me and anything negative. I just totally distance myself from negativity. But then if something's really positive, it's just like you just kind of gravitate towards it, you know?
Yeah, and that's why yesterday when I saw my buddy and he brought his girlfriend too, like they were so positive because, you know, he does background acting too, but obviously productions have shut down. And he said, dude, this has been fucking amazing. Like, he's like, I'm going to do music now. He used to do music. So now he's going to go back into doing music and he's doing all these other things that he couldn't do before. And part of it is also, he lost a lot of weight, just as I did. And he's a really buff guy, but he lost a lot of it. And he's like, I'm okay with it. Before, this would have affected me. This would have fucked me up, but I'm fine. So that's a testament to how far he's come in his own mentality towards how he views himself. Because a lot of guys that get really buff, it's because they just want to be validated by other people and because they feel maybe a little bit insecure for whatever it may be. Because I'll be like that too. But I'm like, I accept my body right now and I love it because I feel healthier. I feel more in shape. And anyways, and then his girlfriend, she has a business with like a hairline business, right? Natural hair care. And I asked her, how's the business? And she said, it's through the roof. It just spiked up during the Corona shit because people can't go to others. They can't fucking go to the salon and all this other stuff. So they're looking for their own ways, solutions for themselves. And she has the product because she makes it on her own. And she's doing the best she's ever done with her business.
Wow. Yeah. That reminds me of a friend of mine, like he has like a clothing business where he was doing like custom like he would take like a Louis Vuitton purse or something and like cut it and then put it on boots, or he would like use jeans and kind of like make his own, like craft his own clothing. And then he started sewing masks just to like sell on his website, thinking like, hey, he has the ability to make these masks and sell them, so might as well, like, it could really help people. And he's been selling like 40 of them a day. Like, it's nuts.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. He says it's literally, he's got his own sweatshop that he's running, but it's just him and his girlfriend just churning through these masks. And I just imagine that. I'm like, but there's something like that's really cool about that. I love the idea of like growing businesses and like starting from like the ground and like just having this really like grassroots beginning and then allowing it to really organically become super successful because it's just really like helping that many people, or it's providing like a service or a product that a lot of people need. And I think that's such a cool thing. So for him, I'm so happy that he's like being really successful with it, because now it's like, and I think both of us have talked about this before, like, so like we met doing background acting, but when background acting reopens, we may not go back to background acting because
very true.
Now we've kind of been like paving our own lane. We've been blazing our own trail, and we might be like, hey, you know, we've been doing a lot of this creative stuff that's working well. We don't have to go back to like a job thing, you know?
Yeah, especially a job where We have no say in anything we fucking do. It's just, hey, walk this way or sit here or you have to listen to me. Don't think.
But it was a great, like, I mean, background acting was like the easiest.
No, it's
like,
great. It's awesome.
It's like the fucking easiest
It's
job.
the easiest job. I'm thankful for it too. But
I actually love background acting. I might
Yeah.
do it a couple days a week.
I'm not going to cut it out completely. But if it's your whole life, if you do it every day, like 5-6 days a week, and that's all you do, you're going to forget how to think for yourself.
Which is what I did for a while because I was like so hungry that I was like just working every day that I could. And then now that I haven't been able to work every day on set, it's like I still have that drive. So I'm like, well, I want to be working, but like now it's like I've got to almost like we've all got to just start our own businesses. I genuinely believe like this is the time when everybody just goes and starts their own business or their own brand and becomes like an independent, like everybody becomes their own boss because who's going to hire you now? Because everything's shut down. True. You've got to just look. I look in the mirror. I'm like, dude, Paul, you're hired, dude. We're starting work right now. You know what I mean? Like, seriously.
It's true.
Like, I really believe that. And now it's like, just, I really do believe that. I always knew I was like going to start my own business and do that stuff. And it was almost like kind of waiting for the right time, which I'm very patient with it. So I kind of was waiting for it to like cook appropriately. And I feel like now with this, with Corona and everything, just shutting everything down, it's like, well, you got no choice now. We've got to become like independent creators and start being very entrepreneurial. That's the only way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is the only way. It's been forcing people to really face themselves. More and more, the truth comes out. People cannot hide behind the money. People cannot hide behind the whole, they wear a suit and go to a fucking West Hollywood at some expensive like acai bowl place. Yeah. And then getting validation. Oh, right, these 3 girls looked at me once. That means I'm hot shit. And now that they're not getting that, and that's all in their head. Now they're like, oh, fuck, what do I do? Like, who am I? I'm worthless. Am I anything? Oh, and then they hit a point of enlightenment like, oh, wow, I'm actually a bitch.
I had something. I didn't say that, but I didn't say that to myself. But
no, I don't even know. That's some hypothetical. I don't know. Whoever.
I had that.
Not, I don't do that.
I had that breakthrough though. I can relate to like having a similar breakthrough, and it was the last night of my apartment, which was April 30th, and
what time?
Probably at like 10:30 p.m. And I just I really don't smoke pot ever. You can tell because I called it pot. But
you sound like an old 50-year-old man.
I'm trying to just make it sound like, hey, I don't do the pot, guys. But this one time I did, and we actually had like this wax, and it was like my last night with my roommate, who I'm like great friends with, and we're still great friends. Like just because now we kind of live on our own thing, like we're still great friends. And like I smoked some like this wax, and I went to my room, or my like the last day at my old room, and I was like, damn, like you made it through this lease, you successfully completed it, we paid rent on time. I'm like, you fucking did it. And I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I was like really high, and I was like, dude, it's time to fucking step up. It's time to level up. Like nobody's gonna hire you in Hollywood now. You've got to step up and start being the person that starts hiring other people, because nobody else is gonna do it. It's your time to step up. It's your time to be the man. And like this is it. Like this is the turning point. This is the point where it changes, where it's like we become our own boss. Like we become the boss of our own lives now, and we start calling the shots, and we start hiring people. Instead of looking for people to hire us, it's our responsibility. Like it's not even like a choice. It's like an obligation to now, like we've got to be the source for other people. When other people want to work, when other people want to make films, when other people want to create content, like we've got to be the source of that and provide that for other people. And it's for me, like that was my revelation. Like I really had like this breakthrough where I was like, I gotta start calling my own shots. Like I've got to start turning away work that doesn't serve me, and I've got to start creating more opportunities for myself and others. And that's what happened with me when I got really high the other night. And I was like, dude, it's all changing, and like nothing will be the same now, because like mentally, like once you have that breakthrough, like I can't go back to that old way of thinking where I'm like, can I get hard at Trader Joe's? I'm like, dude, either I'm buying a couple Trader Joe's franchises, or I'm not going, or I'm just going grocery shopping because I love it. But I would buy some Trader Joe's franchises. I fucking love that place. But that's like a different, it's just like it's a different like view. It's a different perspective of thinking. You know what I mean? Where instead of just being like a pawn on the chessboard, like now we're playing chess.
It's an overview.
Yeah.
From the top. It's a view from the top versus a view looking up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like looking up for a while, and I still am in certain situations, and I still think I will probably go back to background work somewhat. Like if I get sent to China in September, I don't know if I should say it on this, but maybe I'll go like film a movie, and if I'm on a movie set for a while, fantastic. Like I would still love to do that type of work. In the back of my mind, I know that through creating content, through like a lot of the stuff we're doing, like we've got to now be business owners because nobody else is going to go and give us a job. Unless I want to work at Trader Joe's, which is like, obviously, I feel like it's fine. Like I would be fine, but that's going to take so much time away from like creating our own thing. And then when these moments hit and you see like a lot of people who own their own businesses started doing really well during this time because if they chose to stay in business. A lot of people got shut down. A lot of people went out of business. Dude, I know some of these restaurants that are just booming because people are getting so much takeout. They're getting so much delivery and all that stuff. And I'm still humble. Like I'm willing to do whatever it takes to build that. But that shift happened, and I was like, okay, we got to move in with this new way of thinking, you know?
Mm-hmm. So there are restaurants that are doing really well.
Dude, there's a lot of people who are succeeding during this time. It is ridiculous to think that everybody is just going through this horrible, terrible experience. Like, it's crazy to think that the entire world is just shutting down. Like there's the few, like the outliers, like the independent thinkers, the people who are entrepreneurial, the people who are like very motivated and still want to like seek the truth.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of my friends, including you especially, who have like actually just succeeded so much more during this time because they use it as an opportunity. It's just a way of thinking. And I actually had a call with somebody and somebody was like, yeah, like, it's just a really hard time. And I'm like, dude, I'm not listening to any of that because to be honest, it's a choice to go through a hard time or to be like, I'm going to grow through this experience.
Yeah. Instead of just sitting and like whining and complaining, like, what am I going to do? It's like, well, think of something. Have you actually thought? Have you thought anything about what you could do instead of what am I? People that go, what am I going to do? Never actually answer that question for themselves. They just go, what am I going to do?
We got to take action.
Yeah. Think about it like with food. When you go, what am I going to eat? Eventually you come up with something. Even if it's, you just look around the house and you have like bread, leftover bread, like the ends of the loaf. And like
the
cheese,
ends of the loaf.
I do too. I toasted it last night. It's fucking bomb. And then, you have that. And then you have a little bit of butter. And then you find some, like a slice of cheese left that's almost expired or maybe a day expired. And then some like tomato sauce. And you're like, fuck, this is all I have. But I'm going to eat, so I'm going to mix it together. And that is a solution. May not be the perfect solution, but what's a perfect solution? A solution is still a solution, and that leads to other shit. Because after you made that and you ate that, you're like, okay, well, since I could do that, I did that. Now I'm like, okay, let me find, go on YouTube and look up affordable meals that I can make. And then you go to the grocery store, you buy that shit, like maybe some fucking lima beans and celery or whatever you fucking eat.
I could do a whole thing on like eggs.
Yeah.
I'm getting like eggs, pasta, rice. I don't actually do pasta and rice too often. Oatmeal. Like I had a great oatmeal bowl today with like oatmeal, peanut butter, honey, blueberries, bananas. And like this is all stuff I'm grabbing from TJ's. I'm getting it all from Trader Joe's. I'm getting it all from Trader Joe's. Like I fucking love that place. Like I really think I should be sponsored by Trader Joe's.
I think so too.
Can you imagine, dude? Also, if they hired me, I would have gotten promoted within the first month.
You definitely would.
Because I would have been like, I believe in the company so much.
And you know where everything is.
And I know where everything is. I've been a customer, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, you know what's interesting? Maybe if people are considering starting their own business or doing their own entrepreneurial journey, like where are they a consistent customer at? Or where do they, you know what I mean? Or like maybe it's something with TV or they want to find out like, oh, should I get into comedy or should I do this or that? Like, well, what kind of content do they consume the most? Because that's the field that they have done a lot of research on. When I watch YouTube videos, I could actually say that I'm doing like research on YouTube because you learn how all these creators stuff. Like if I watch your TikToks, I'm doing research because I'm studying his stuff. I'm studying your stuff and being like, oh, okay, well he actually moved the camera a little bit further away so you can see his shoulders instead of sometimes I would do like a close up on my face. So I'm like, oh, maybe I should actually adjust my camera angle too. Maybe it's just more like, so I'm picking up, I'm always like studying and learning and observing.
That's actually very observant of you because I do experiment with, holding it versus like holding a selfie style versus stationary, putting it on a mini tripod and then showing a lot of my body or a tripod close to my face. Like I feel like there that could affect. It has some kind of effect, and I don't know exactly what it is, but maybe something about authenticity or what, I don't know. But I feel like holding a selfie style can add to the, I guess, intimacy of it, because it seems more real, like because you're holding it, it's moving, and maybe for those videos you could talk about something even more serious. Who knows? Like I don't know, but I do switch it up here and there a little bit. But a lot of it though, I like to keep it stationary now because I like to move and like to use both my hands. So that's why I do it.
I feel like it improved because it's almost like it improves like the presentation of it. Like when you watch it, you can see that you've got like somewhat of a good setup, and I think it just makes it more like a great presentation. You know what I mean? And like a great thing to watch. It's the same thing as like watching a movie and like you notice it's really good because the cameras are like smooth or whatever, versus like someone's just kind of like scrambling on like, you know, a boat somewhere.
Like,
you know?
Cloverfield.
Yeah, like Cloverfield. Although that was like the style, unless it's a stylistic choice.
Yeah, but what is it? Jason Bourne. I forgot if it was the third one or the second one, but it shook so much. I got motion sickness. I never got motion sickness from a fucking movie in my life. I could not watch it. It made me, ugh.
I'm taking notes on that because I'm thinking like I got to make sure when I'm shooting I get smooth shots. You know what I mean? I think it is like an aesthetic thing and a good presentation thing. But it's cool because I think like the people who are creating content give themselves an edge over literally everybody. Because then it's like, I used to be a real estate agent, and like they were saying like the worst type of real estate agent would be like a secret agent. Nobody knows you're a real estate agent.
Oh, you're trying to like sneak it in?
Yeah, you're a real estate agent, but you're a secret agent, so nobody knows you're a real estate agent. So it's like you can't get business if nobody knows what you do. You know what I mean? But now everybody knows you do. I mean, you've had people reach out to you through social media about doing comedy shows.
Yeah. To pay me.
To give you money. They want to give you their money because they've seen your stuff and they know it's good because here's your entire catalog, your portfolio in a way. It's just a different way it's a different way of thinking, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. Because when you put it out there, then it does something for you to where it's like, okay, this is real. So I have to do more of it. I have to become this thing that I say I am. And you're right. Other people view you that way. And, they just, it's weird, man. I feel like people view me differently now for sure, but I don't know what. And even if they tell me how they view me, it won't really resonate that deeply because I'm just me, you know? So it'd be interesting to be into somebody else's body and feel what they feel and look through their eyes and look at me. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I may have an answer for it where I feel like in person it's totally the same. Like you're clearly the same exact person, but the difference is when people aren't with you, and then they're what they remember of you. They see your social media. Do you know what I mean? So what people think when you're not in the room shifts because they're like, oh, Mike Kim, and you're like, well, he's probably got like 175,000 on TikTok. You're like it's all, you know what I mean? But when you're in the room, you're still obviously the same exact person. But the difference is like when you're not in the room, how people remember you after they meet you. Do you know what I mean?
You're right, because it does replace the memory of their last hangout with you up until they see you again. So it's like you're rebranding the thoughts of you. You know?
You're changing your perception. You know what I mean? Like
their perception of you.
Yes.
Yeah. And funny enough, there's people who keep seeing my shit that I haven't seen in years that are like, oh, you're famous now. Or like, bro, or like other stand-up comedians that would hit me up that I haven't seen in months. And they're like, yeah, I've seen your stuff. You're killing it. Oh shit, you're like famous now, blah, blah. So now when I get back into it and as they see my numbers grow up, I don't think I'm famous, but in their minds, probably because they said it, then they're going to treat me differently in a way where it's going to benefit me because they view me as like, oh, he's got this, he's like up here now, but it's really not. It's really not like that. It's the whole psychological aspect of this social media shit is very, very interesting.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it because I feel like that's how you can change your perception to other people is through social media. You know what I mean? Like, even if somebody was just starting to post like a ton of like fitness content, like, yeah, they might get. I feel like also when you got on social media, like, I feel like when I got on social media, like, I got roasted for like a little bit to kind of like, because I was posting content that was like a little off, and then it took a little bit to get the wheels rolling. Like early on, like, can you relate? Like, did you have a similar experience with that as well? Like,
Actually, I did notice something like that. But it could be the content I'm putting out now. But I will say this. There was a point where specific videos that had to do with like talking about defending Asians against certain stereotypes, even if I make it funny, there would be like a lot of racist stuff or the fuckboy, the Confessions of a Former Fuckboy video series that I do. People be like, oh, he's lying. But because there's 10 parts of it and they have millions of views, and I stayed on brand by being consistent and keep putting it out. Like, every video proves I'm fucking right. Every fucking video. All the girls in comments were like, oh, he's fucking right. He's right. So the ones that really shitting on me were guys. But that's really died out. Now they see me as this guy who knows what the fuck he's talking about. Right? Because that's what I learned from Ty Lopez. Ty Lopez, he got big because of his video where he's like, here at my garage with my Lamborghini, you know what's better than materials? Things, knowledge. And everybody just made fun of him, roasted him. But he knew that if he keeps being on track, and they discredited him to, oh, you don't know what you're fucking talking about, you're bullshit, that's a green screen, blah blah blah. But he keeps putting out content where it shows he's living in the mansion. It shows that he is giving information that stays consistent, right? That has to do with finance or whatever the fuck he talks about. He just keeps staying on brand, which is, I guess, authentic to himself. Then he won those fuckers over, and then they started paying him for shit. They're like, oh, I used to hate you. There's people there was a guy even in my live stream who came in saying, you're a chick, you're a fucking chick. He made 10 different accounts because I blocked him, and he came back in the live stream in one day and kept saying, you're a dirty chick, you're blah blah blah. And then eventually he came back, and I was like, cool. I didn't get mad at him. I'm like, I get it. Like, all right, whatever, man. Cool. Like, I mean, you could stay if you want, but just stop saying that shit. Like, because I don't tolerate that. And I kept being nice to everybody, kept talking, having a good time energy wise. And he came back in with a different account and said, hey, I was that guy that called you like chink and stuff. I want to apologize because you actually seem like a really cool guy. Like, I actually see it now. So I'm sorry. And now he comes into my lives. And he changed his account name to Mike Kim's Biggest Hater to let me know that that's me. He doesn't really hate me, but because I was like, can you please not come in here and say, hey, remember me? I'm the guy that called you chink. He would say that like 2 times. I'm like, it's probably, you shouldn't say that. He's like, okay, my bad. Okay, I'll change my. And so he changed the account to let me know that it's him, but I want him over.
Yeah, wow.
By staying consistent with who I am. Like, that's my personality. Other Asians may be like, well, fuck you, you're a piece of shit, blah, blah. But I'm like, there's a reason why this fucking kid is doing this. He needs this type of attention because he's probably not getting it in his life from his parents or whatever's going on. He feels lost. Why else would a kid his age, he's probably 13, why else would he do that?
You think it was a 13-year-old?
I think he's 13. I think he said he's like barely in high school or something like that. 14, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like anybody who comments like a lot of negativity is just like, yeah.
Yeah, and I see that. That's why it doesn't affect me. That's why this racist shit doesn't affect me. But also, that's why I left all those negative comments up, because as long as people see that those comments are there and I continue to put out content that is still consistent, that I'm still confident in, that I'm still being very vulnerable, they can't help but to be won over because I'm not afraid. Who's going to really hate me? I haven't done anything bad. Like, even if they disagree with something, there's people who say like, I don't agree with what you said, but I'm still your fan. Because they know I'm authentic, because I'm very fucking vulnerable. Right? People love people who are not afraid to show their imperfections. Even though it's easier to judge you, but eventually they're like, well, he's just him, so what the fuck can I do? I can't hate this guy anymore. But people that are fake and try to be perfect all the time, it's easy to be like, because they want to find out something's wrong with you. They do. But if you're putting it all out there, they're not going to try to go out of their way to find something wrong with you because you're putting it out there. Right?
Yeah, and then I think as long as you're consistent and staying really like authentic with it as well. Yeah. Like I think in the beginning people maybe even if they see like that your videos are doing really well, I think it's not an uncommon response that people would be like, "Oh, blah blah blah," to try to like hold on, I'm going to sneeze.
Nice. Second wave?
No, it's just one and done. That was
soaking it in.
Yeah, that was just so refreshing. So, anyway, it's not an uncommon response if somebody like sees like that your video, especially with people that are getting a lot of like attention and a lot of like success on social media. It's easy to then just try to like take the person down with like one negative comment. But the truth is, like, if you got all this rolling and you're really being true to yourself, you're like, this one negative comment's not going to make a dent. You know what I mean? And then eventually they realize like, okay, they're not going to, one negative comment is not going to cause you to shut down your entire account. You're going to keep uploading content. It's like if they can't beat you, they might as well join you. I think it's one of those things where they're like, you're going to keep uploading. You've been really consistent. You're probably not going to stop uploading anytime soon. Whether or not I want you to stop uploading or whether or not a hater wants you to stop uploading, it doesn't even matter. Like, you're going to keep doing it because it's so true to you. And then eventually they're just like, you know what, I'm just exhausted, you know, trying to hate on somebody. Might as well just, you know, get on the winning team.
Yeah, and do you know why too? I thought about this because I can't remember the exact person, but there was somebody who won me over because they kept putting shit out. For some reason, I kept going into their videos and would cringe and like I would hate on them. I wouldn't make comments, but I would have a problem with them. But it's because something about their message hit me, resonated with me, that kept making me come back, but I wanted to hate the guy. I wanted to not like him. There was a guy like that. I remember some internet guy like years ago. But I kept going back. He kept being consistent with who he was. And then I became a fan. And obviously, I'm not a huge fan because I can't remember who I'm talking about. But I remember this. I remember this. So that's why it's important to be as vulnerable and real as you can and never stop that when it comes to social media. And no matter what, like a podcast, when you're on somebody's podcast, when you're making your own podcast, when you're making your own skits, whatever, you be you to where it's like, oh, it's Mike. It's just Mike. Or it's just Paul. That's Paul. Like Paul, like, oh yeah, Paul, where's your Trader Joe's? Right? Did you go to Trader Joe's today?
Yeah. I
you're not ashamed of your love for Trader Joe's. You're like, I love Trader Joe's. What the fuck?
It's just true. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because, yeah, I feel like another thing is like being really consistent too. Like if you were to post like 3 videos that were really authentic, people would probably be buzzing about it, but then it would die really quickly. I noticed that because we're really consistent, even like some of my favorite people that I watch online, like I heard about who they were and I didn't really pay much attention. And then I heard about them again and kind of started to whatever, and then hear about them again until suddenly they're actually making videos about a topic that's just kind of like in my current like interests. And then I watch one of the things, I'm like, oh, this is great content. Like Peter McKinnon, I was like, I've heard about him like probably like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Heard about him again, and he's just slowly. And then I finally had to look at his channel. He's got almost 5 million subscribers. And I'm like, wow, his stuff is amazing. And I'm a huge fan. But it's like I heard about him like 2 years ago, and I wasn't a fan of him until very recent because he just was so consistent in providing like really good content and good value.
You know, I just remembered right now, we got to answer some questions because I actually got some emails. So let's do some questions.
Cool.
All right. Pulling out the emails. By the way, guys, thank you for sending emails.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. So let's do this right now. Okay. All right. We'll start with, okay. Can a fuckboy, wait, hold on. I'm skipping some questions. That's not it. Aha. So, Anonymous wants to know, how did you know, there will be some other questions that you can answer to, but this one's a little bit more specific. How did you know that the podcast girl was the one versus perhaps other girls you may have been speaking to? You mentioned that she changed your mind about dating, as you did not want to date for a while after your breakup. And I was curious about that. I knew that because we would FaceTime and talk every day for hours, and it didn't feel forced, and it didn't feel like I had to, like it was a chore. And also because she lives far away, and I'm not having sex with her, because a lot of times that sex is what keeps people around, and then people misconstrue that as connection. And every time I talked to her, I'd always have a good time and have a blast, and she'd give me more energy, which ties in with like friendships, right? Like having more energy with friends, like that's what you want to keep around instead of that negativity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know this may feel a little awkward because you just have to listen to me, but
Yeah, I'm like the people who are ask these questions are like, they really know a lot about your life.
yeah, they do. Okay, so these days, online dating and dating apps are the norm. As you might know, I'm also a part of that. What's your take on it, and what's your suggestion to those who do use them? For example, I live in Manhattan, and dating apps are truly the best way to meet someone out of your circle. I think online dating is we could get your take on it too. But online dating is, in my opinion, most people on it are broken ass people, so that's why it doesn't work out. And then it's this feedback loop, negative feedback loop of where then it makes you want to double down and go further into it because you're like, then maybe finally meet somebody normal. But then it's like the reason why a lot of people do online dating is because a lot of guys are too afraid to talk to people in real life. So that's why a lot of those dudes that are on the online dating apps, they're kind of weird or manipulative or do some weird shit because they can't be vulnerable in real life and say, hey, you're cool. And I want to get your number. You know, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said. I also feel like there's such a communication gap with like dating apps where like people only show like their 5 best looking photos. And then like the only thing is like somebody will ask like a question and then they've got to respond to maybe like 3 or 4 questions. And like, that's it. That's all you know about the person is like, you know, like what their best photos look like. And then you know like what their answer to these questions are, but they're probably answering the questions not very true because they want to answer like questions in an attractive way to somebody else instead of just being like, I'm super conservative with like dating and relationships. Like I feel like I'm going to end up like the next girl that I date, like I'm so like patient with it because I've just hit a point where it's like the next girl that I actually date seriously, like I'm really going to consider like marrying because I just really wouldn't consider spending that much time with a girl unless it was like really going to actually like, but that's why it's like, I feel like I wouldn't date somebody unless I like knew them for at least like a certain amount of time so that you really know who that person is and then you know who they are. And then it's like, other than that, I just want to work on my own stuff. Like I want to work on my own stuff until there's somebody where I'm like, that could work for 80 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Long term, right? Long term with everything we do, just and investing into it because it means something. It matters, right?
Yeah. Like I have no urge to just go and like get laid or hook up or anything. Like I'd rather be like.
I don't have that at all either.
Stuff.
I don't have it at all either anymore. It finally got out of my system, and it's funny enough because now would be the perfect time, right? Because I'm getting TikTok and I get girls slipping into the DMs. I have girls slipping into the DMs, telling me to go to see them and all that stuff, and I'm like, I don't like. I'd rather just have a relationship. You know, like I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't fucking care.
And then for me, I'm like so patient. Like the next relationship I get in, I would only go in if I knew like, okay, I think I could literally live with that person for another 100 years. Yeah. Other than that, it's like, hey, I just want to build and work on my own stuff and be as successful as I can be before I'd like really take on that commitment.
Yeah, but she also does say that she lives in Manhattan and that dating apps are truly the best way to meet somebody. But I also know this person, and everybody she's meeting is a fucking scumbag. So maybe it's better to just work on yourself because why do you feel like you have to date so much? Why? Right? Like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like just being a part of like, you know, social groups and being like a part of different communities allows you to meet a lot of people, and it's just more organic. Because, yeah, like I've like hooked up with girls through dating apps, and it never really lasts that long through a dating app because the angle that both of you guys are meeting at, if it's through a dating app, is like probably not the preferred channel. Even though some relationships work through dating apps, I watched that show. The blind date show. Oh my gosh, what's it called? It's like that Netflix show.
Oh, where they have to talk through a wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Love is Blind.
Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I saw like half an episode. I didn't go all the way through it.
Dude, one night I watched every episode. like one night, every episode.
Oh, shit.
In one thing. And dude, it was crazy because what happened is like they met like actually two of the couples are still together out of like the 5 couples that like got like engaged at the beginning of the show. 5 couples like get engaged. Only 2 of those couples made it. 3 of those couples actually, maybe 4 of them. Like it was at the altar on the wedding day, and like 3 or 4 of them, like on the wedding day, they're like, "Do you say I do?" And they were like, "I don't," and like walked away. And you're like, "What the hell?" Like, I mean, it's great TV, but it's terrible for people's relationships. But it's so entertaining.
Yeah,
as a viewer, it's fantastic.
The fucking show. I think I'll check out another episode. But okay, let's get through this so we can go to next questions. There's 2 more. Any tips on finessing a fuckboy, or simply do not engage them at all? Any key red flags you'd like to point out that were not discussed in your fuckboy series? Basically, do not engage them at all. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. Moving on. What is the first thing you'd like to do when quarantine is over? Eat out, meet your friends, or perhaps meet podcast girl in person? I'd like to meet my friends, but we're meeting your friends right now. We're doing that right now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, quarantine ended like a month ago.
Yeah. It's like, fuck that.
Even though people are like, "You're gonna get somebody killed," I'm like, dude, I'm healthy, dude.
Yeah, you're gonna get yourself killed by being a bitch. No, but yeah,
if anything, I'm gonna make other people healthier.
Yeah, because you're gonna strengthen their immune system. Yeah. Okay, so there's a guy that sent me a bunch of photos for his Tinder, and he wants me to help him with that, but I think I'm going to say that for next time. This is more of like an email, not so much for like a question. Let's see. Oh, right here. Can a fuckboy eventually fall in love with someone? If so, what is the type of girl they typically fall for? A fuckboy can technically fall, quote unquote, in love with somebody, but it's coming from a weird manipulative place that's not authentic, because the reason why they're a fuckboy to begin with is because they don't know how to be honest with themselves and a girl. So if they're with you, it's for really unhealthy reasons, and it's not going to last. And even if it lasts a few years, it's going to be super unhealthy and you're going to regret it. So that's my answer. Moving on. This was a good one. This was a good one for both of us. Okay, so this is the final question sent by nobody. Can't say his name or her name or their name. All right. Hey, Mike, I want to be anonymous for this one. No, let's skip that. Okay. How do you decide whether to cut people from your life? How do you do it? I'm considering cutting a friend from my life. We've known each other for many years, and we were really close at one point. I feel like they don't make me a better person anymore. I'm starting to realize how narcissistic and manipulative this person could be. We run in the same circle of friends. That complicates things.
No, it does. I mean, I think it's an easy thing. I feel like you just gradually start working in another direction, like slowly. It's not like I don't think it's one move where it's like a confrontational thing. Like, hey, listen, I think you're this and that. I think you just gradually start moving in the direction you want to go. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's towards a certain person or away from a certain person, just keep moving forward in the direction that you want to go. And eventually you could look in 6 months from now, you're like, oh, wow, all my friends are like really successful and really positive influences. How did that happen? Well, slowly, step by step.
That's true. Because for me, I cut out some friends that I've known for a very long time recently, but I didn't have any confrontation with them because I don't need to. It's just, they're so not part of my life now. They're completely absent from it. I don't even think about them. And if I bump into them, fine, whatever, if somehow. But like Paul was saying, I went further into the direction of the way I want to take my life, making my dreams come true. And they're fucking back they're stuck wherever the fuck they are. I don't even know because I don't keep up with them. I don't give a fuck. So with them, since you're considering cutting out this person because they're narcissistic and manipulative, and you've known them for years, it doesn't matter how close you were at one point. I cut out somebody that I knew for 15 years. They didn't, or actually more, 15 plus, because they were narcissistic and manipulative. But I allowed the whole, we've known each other for a very long time shit to cloud my judgment. And even though I felt like shit every time, you got to ask yourself, is this person adding to your life? Is this person making you feel good after each hangout? Every time I saw this one person, I would feel shittier than if I was by myself. And after like a few more years of that, I told myself, what am I fucking doing? So eventually I cut that fucker out in my life. And also back then, he was one of the only people I was really hanging out with because I was lost and I cut out a lot of people. So it was lonely, but I kept trekking forward, and then my life got way, way better without that drama, because that drama is there to kind of keep us busy, to not be able to focus on what needs to be done. It's a good excuse to not have to really face the reality of things sometimes, right?
Yeah, and last thing I'll say on that is like I'm not really in touch with like a lot of the like my group of friends from high school, because like I feel like when we got to college, like I felt like we started to kind of get into drugs a little bit too much, and it kind of became like really unhealthy and kind of toxic. So I like distanced myself and started like hang out with people who are like positive and everything. But those people, and I don't really talk to those people as much, but they're still part of my journey. They're still part of your story. Mm-hmm. So I still have so much love for them for being like, you know what I mean? For being there at some point. I don't have to call them or I don't have to hang out with them every day, but I still have a lot of love and appreciation for them because like they were a part of the journey. You know what I mean? Like you wouldn't be able to get to where we are today without them being a part of that journey as well and helping you to build everything. So I'm grateful for it, even though like there's unhealthy people that I don't talk to often, but I still have love for them. It's like, you know what I mean? So I think the whole, like I would never confront, I just am so non-confrontational that I would never want to confront somebody and be like, hey, this is like, I'm just like, no, like just let it all unfold in like a nice, peaceful, graceful way where everybody wins and everybody's happy.
I agree with that for most cases. But for me, the times I did confront a few people, like I did recently with this one girl that I'm not friends with anymore because she fucking betrayed my ass. I said, look, I don't want to be friends with you anymore because you did this. That's why. And that one I had to do. I had to fucking do it. Because if I didn't say it, then I would live in fear. But most cases, if not, they didn't do anything like hardcore like that, yeah, there's no point to confront them about it. But this fucking bitch, she fucking betrayed me, and I hold loyalty to the highest degree, and she fucking failed. Hardcore. And lied to me, all that stuff. So I called her out on it all, and she showed her true colors. She's like, well, you know what? We didn't matter anyways because we didn't even really know each other. I'm like, I know things, and I'm not going to say it on this podcast, but your marriage is fucked up. Let's just say that. I know the truth, but I don't talk about it. All right. So how the fuck would I know that? How would I know that she's not listening?
I feel like I'm suddenly like a spectator on like I know,
Well,
yeah, it seems like you really got some baggage there.
Yeah, but everybody else though, all you do, just I know you run in the same circle, but just don't even talk to them. Like be cordial, like hey, but you don't feel like hey, how are you? No, fuck that. Don't do that fake bullshit. Just be like hey, because they're in the same circle, keep it cordial. What's up, dude? Boom. And if they try to talk to you, be like, oh, it's been good. Yeah, but I I'm gonna go or something like that. Just don't get the hint, whatever. But you're not making it hateful. You're not causing shit, so it'll still be peaceful. But yeah, that does make it a lot tougher because for me, fortunately, all these people. Well, actually, that group of friends that I cut out, she has nothing to do with me. Those friends don't hit me up anymore, so that let me know they chose a side, and I don't give a fuck. And maybe they listen to this, but you know who the fuck you are. You chose a side. You're not neutral. That's all I'm gonna say, and I'm fine with it because my life is gonna get exponentially better. Maury, is this still Maury?
Yeah. I feel like I'm Maury, and I'm like, dude, like,
yeah.
I'm like, that's some like you're like calling people. I'm like, okay, do your thing, dude.
Yeah. Paul's not confrontational, but
yeah, I'm like peaceful. I'm very peaceful.
I'm peaceful too, but sometimes I can be confrontational if it requires it. But like 95% of the time, I am not confrontational at all. So I think we covered grounds on that question, right? Like, is there anything you want to add to that?
I think you did a great job just covering all.
End it on a high note. Yeah. Oh yeah. So before we wrap it up, is there anything that? How about this question? Did you get emotional this month? And if you did, why?
Yeah, I did. I mean, this month when I smoked that wax, and I got really. I mean, there was like a lot of. It was like a very relaxed intensity, but I just knew I was like, this is a time where we step up. This is our opportunity. This is our time when, like when the world is just shifting, like we've got to make sure we keep shifting in the right direction. And I feel like it was a moment in my life where I'm like, I've got to really start like calling the shots in my life and start taking control and start being like the leader of my own life. And I can no longer and being really independent and creating my own opportunities and taking initiative and really stepping up and being a leader in my life. And that was really what happened. And it was a huge breakthrough. And now I feel like I'm just, like riding the fucking stallion. I'm just like, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? So now I got really just fired up about it. So I've been very excited. Yesterday was emotional because we were talking about this movie script and we were talking about a scene and it was so fucking funny. We were just cracking up. Like I'm still hanging out with friends. Like I'm still doing all that shit. Like fuck. I haven't even heard the word quarantine in like a month because like we've just been doing our thing. Like I'm around people who are so positive. They're like, yeah, we're not afraid. I'm around people who aren't afraid. So we just keep living our lives the way we want to do it. We don't listen to any of the negativity. People can criticize us. We don't even hear the criticism. We just keep doing what feels right to do. You know what I mean? And just doing what we really want to do because we got one chance. We got one shot at life.
And the same people, I'm talking to you guys, the same people that are afraid of the quarantine, the coronavirus, and the lockdown, wearing the masks and freaking out, you're the same people that have sex without condoms. You're raw dogging. Think about that. Think about that.
Think about that.
Think about that. Okay. So anyways, oh yeah, you want to plug in anything?
Yes. Follow me on YouTube. So we'll probably have a new movie released at the end of August is the prediction. So follow me on YouTube at Paul Krueger, Instagram at Paul J. Krueger, and TikTok at Paul J. Krueger. It's pretty much the same thing on every platform. So it's and PS4. You can even become friends with me on PS4. Maybe we'll play some Call of Duty. Be popping headies.
Help them spell Krueger.
Paul Paul Krueger. Again, Paul Paul Krueger. Follow me there. Shoot me a message if you followed me after seeing this podcast as well. And if you guys follow me, thank you so much. I just appreciate it.
You heard it from the man himself. He confidently struggled spelling his last name.
Well, I heard him running around upstairs. I'm like, let me wait.
Yeah.
I don't want to get interrupted when I spell this.
Yeah, you're like, okay, thanks for, okay. Guys, I gotta do it again. But guys, this has been another episode of the Setbreaker Podcast. Thank you for joining us. I hope you got a lot out of it and enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you next time.